What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. I hope you're all doing very, very well. I've got another tier set list for you all. Apparently, a lot of you guys liked the last one, so we're going to continue with this theme. I'm planning on doing it for the tanks as well, and I'm going to do one for the healers as well. But today we are going to be talking about the tanks heading into Dragonflight Season 1, looking at their tier set bonuses. I've got them over here, and we're going to go through and I'm going to explain why I think these different tanks belong in different tiers, depending on where I'm going to put them. I'll show you in a second, obviously. But we're going to rank all the tier set bonuses as they apply to the tanks based on kind of, throughput that they're getting, damage-wise, healing-wise, damage reduction. We're going to talk about all of it. And, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's jump into it. Let me just say at the outset really quickly that I've been testing a lot of tanks recently on the dummies, and I have tanked a ton of Mythic Plus and rating in the past. For the first year of Shadowlands, I was maining a Prot Paladin for my raid. I did it in Castle Nathria, I did it in Sanctum of Domination, I got AOTC on both of those, and then did some Mythic pulls as well. So I'm familiar with tanking, and I've done it for a very long time. It's actually one of my favorite things to do in the game. It's more recently, actually, that I've turned into kind of a DPS player, but this is something that's close to my heart, and I want to make sure that I do this justice. So I've done a lot of research kind of looking at the different tank specs, and I have a whole bunch of notes that I'm going to pull from. But let me just say really quickly about tanking moving into Dragonflight, just as sort of a general note. It feels like they are giving a lot of the tanks much more active mitigation. So really quickly, I'll show you the Prot Paladin tree over here. Let me just move my my head so you guys can see this. So for example, the amount of cooldowns that are now in the Prot Paladin tree are kind of outrageous. So, for example, Ardent Defender, straight up DR, that's 1. We have Sentinel, which can now turn your wings into a defensive cooldown. That's 2. Guardian of Ancient Kings, 3. Eye of Tyr is 4. Divine Toll is 5. You can combine that with Bulwark of Order to become a big defensive cooldown in Mythic Plus. Okay, Bastion of Light is 6. And then we have Moment of Glory is 7. There's 7, legit cooldowns that you can rotate through now just as a Prot Paladin, and a lot of the tanks have a similar thing going on here where they have tons of additional cooldowns that they have now received that, again, were either competing for talent slots in Shadowlands and they've now opened up, or they've just brought them back from previous expansions like Eye of Tyr from Legion. So Blizzard has made a very obvious sort of pivot here for tanks, saying, listen, we want tanks to be actively mitigating damage, and if they fail to do that correctly, they will pay the price, as opposed to just back in the Legion days when you had a vengeance buff and you just had that buff and you were killing everything and you were invincible. So I love it. I do think that tanking has become much more active, even going from Shadowlands into Dragonflight, which it was actually fine in Shadowlands, but we have more tools now, and if we don't use the tools properly, we get wrecked. So let's move on to the tier set bonuses. I just wanted to make that note there. And let's see how the tier set bonuses are supporting tanks in kind of this new way that they have to be active with their mitigation. And we are going to start with Blood DK, because it's just the first one on the list, and we'll just work our way down. So let me get my notes going here. Excuse me. I'm going to read the tier set for you, and then I'm going to explain some under-the-hood stuff that might not be obvious at first glance, okay? So, the 2-step bonus, when a Bone Shield charge is consumed, you have a 20% chance to generate 1 rune. Okay, that's good. So, when a Bone Shield charges get consumed when you take damage, or when you use Tombstone, and I'll talk about that in a minute, after 10 Bone Shield charges are consumed, gain 10% damage and haste for 10 seconds. Okay, so this secondary buff right here is actually called Burgeoning Lifeblood. I tried it on the dummy. I was on the dummy for over 8 minutes, maybe 8.5 minutes. I think Blood DK was the best test that I did. I had Burgeoning Lifeblood up, the 4-piece bonus, for 89%, 7 minutes and 33 seconds. That's how long I had this set bonus up for. So essentially, you can call that permanent. If you're playing correctly, you can have 10% damage and 10% haste all the time, which is really cool, really, really good for Blood DK. The haste especially is exceptionally strong. Now, that's the 4-piece bonus. Let's look at the 2-piece bonus a little bit more closely. When Bone Shield charge is consumed, you have a 20% chance to generate 1 rune. I'll put Blood up in a second. Why is this significant? Well, it's mostly because of Tombstone. If you read the second ability that's down here, consume up to 5 Bone Shield charges. For each charge consumed, you gain runic power and you get an absorb shield. So the effect of Tombstone is great, but on top of that, look at the tier set bonus. When a Bone Shield charge is consumed, you have a 20% chance to generate a rune. So Tombstone consumes 5. So you have 5 20% chances. It doesn't mean you have a 100% chance. It means you have 5 individual 20% chances, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, to get a rune. Chances are you're going to get one. I would say chances are actually very likely that you're going to get more than one when you press Tombstone. And on top of that, you're consistently having a chance to get one whenever you get hit by enemies. So the 2-set bonus is actually deceptively strong, in my opinion. Generating runes is no joke. Generating runes for free is insanely good. So I think that the tier set bonus, whether you like it or not, I think it kind of pushes you towards having to take Tombstone as a talent for Blood Decay. And if you didn't want to take it before, fine. If you already took it before, then fair enough. This is no change for you. But I do think that their tier set bonus pushes them towards taking Tombstone because you get that instant chance of generating runes, and after 10 Bone Shield charges are consumed, you get the damage. So it helps you to maintain that burgeoning lifeblood 4-piece bonus that I was talking about. Tombstone is actually the key, I think, to having permanent uptime on that buff. On top of that, it really combos really, really well with Insatiable Blade, which makes Dancing Rune Weapon generate 5 Bone Shield charges when you summon it. So you go on, you start a pull, you summon Dancing Rune Weapon right at the start, you get 5 Bone Shield charges, you immediately consume the 5 charges with Tombstone, and then you just start casting Marrow Rend manually to get your Bone Shield charges going up again. But now you have a big Tombstone shield. You have already begun to, you're 5 stacks closer to getting the 4-set bonus online immediately on pull, which is really, really cool. And you've probably generated some runes. So maybe you want to spend some runes first before you do the combo that I'm talking about. But that's the really cool combo that you can kind of pull off for Blood Decay. So I'm going to put Blood Decay in the A category. I think it's good. I don't think it's S, but I think it's very good. I think it has some really good interactions that are kind of under the hood and are kind of not obvious at first glance, but I do think it's very strong. So there's Blood Decay. Let's go to Vengeance Demon Hunter. That's the next one on the list. Shear/Fracture deals 20% more damage. So that is your generator. Okay, that's your Fury generator. Is it Fury for Havoc? I think it is. It does 20% more damage. It generates 20% more Fury and has a 15% chance to generate an additional Soul Fragment. So that's a ton in the package. That's really, really nice. It is only single target, though. So it does 20% more damage to one target. It generates 20% more Fury. It only generates around 12 Fury, I think, right now. Maybe 14 if I'm remembering correctly. This might actually bump it up to like 14 or 16, so it's not bad by any means, but saying it generates 20% more Fury might sound insane, but it's actually, you're only getting 3 or 4 extra Fury each time you press it. Having an extra chance to generate more Soul Fragments is good, but a 15% chance is kind of low, and I mean, it generates 2 Soul Fragments already, so maybe your Soul Fragment generation is fine, but this being a chance is a little bit annoying compared to what we just saw with Blood Decay, which doesn't have any RNG whatsoever. Let's look at the 4-piece bonus. Spirit Bomb, which is your AoE spender of Soul Fragments. It pulls in all the Soul Fragments and you explode. Or Soul Cleave, which Soul Cleave does AoE damage and then can consume Soul Charges, or sorry, Soul Fragments to do more healing for you, right? They both have a 12% chance to deal 50% more damage and cause targets they hit to deal 15% less damage to you for 8 seconds. So this was really troubling to me. I did not like this. I don't think this is good. And let me tell you why. It's only a 12% chance, and I tested this on the dummies for an extensive amount of time, and I had a 25% uptime on this bonus. Compare that to the 89% uptime on the Blood Decay bonus. I only had a 25% uptime on this. And also, if you look at the wording of this, you might think to yourself, oh, they have a 12% chance to deal 50% more damage. And they cause targets they hit to deal 15% less damage to you. So you're like, maybe the second part of the sentence is always always applies, and it's just the damage portion that has a chance. No, they both only have a 12% chance. I tested it. These things both only have a 12% chance to happen. So, it just, this seems like an incredibly low chance that needs to be buffed. On top of that, we also have another chance up here in the 2 set to generate an additional soul fragment, and it's way too much RNG in a tier set bonus to be hoping to get this 12% chance to do 50% more damage. Like, I'd rather have a 50% chance to do 10% more damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather have a much more guaranteed chance to do less damage rather than a low chance to do high damage and a low chance to get DR. If you don't get this proc, then this tier set bonus literally does not make you tougher at all. It gives you no defense whatsoever. Which, you know, you can argue the Blood DK one doesn't either, but it has a very high chance to give you a rune, which you can convert into defense. And this does give you more haste, which is going to allow you to cast your spells more quickly, get more defense going. It's definitely not giving you straight up defense, and the argument could be made there. But there are other tier set bonuses that are coming that I'll tell you about that do give you really good defensive bonuses. This one has a chance on a chance on a chance to do it, and it just feels really, really bad. So if you do take Spirit Bomb and it explodes, it does in fact apply the 15% less damage taken to all enemies hit by Spirit Bomb. That is the only caveat here. So in Mythic Plus, this gets a little bit better, but again, a 12% chance is still horrifically low in my opinion. It's just so low. So overall, this tier set bonus only gives you a single target damage boost for the 2 set, and like a guaranteed damage boost from the 2-piece. And it gives you a much lower unreliable chance to get extra DR and to do extra damage. So this is going to go down to C. It's not quite complete garbage, but it is going to go down to C, and we're going to keep it there. I have no qualms about putting it down that far. Okay, let's go to Guardian Druid. This one is actually insanely good. I'm just going to say it right out of the gate. This one actually just goes straight to S, and I'm going to explain why. Gore has a 5% increased chance to trigger, so the base chance for Gore to trigger is 15%. That now goes to 20%, which is a really good chance for something to trigger. I mean, it triggers all the time anyway. Gore also increases Mangle's damage by 10%. Okay, fair enough. So single target damage increase and a high chance. Gore resets the cooldown on Mangle, if you don't know. And it gives it actually makes Mangle do more damage if you've talented into some of the correct stuff. Mangle and Thrash deal 5% increased damage. Mangle heals you for 100% of the damage it deals. Now, this is the original post, I think, on the tier set bonuses. So it doesn't actually heal you for 100% of the damage it deals. It heals you for about 40k right now over 5 seconds. So this is an insanely good heal. And the reason that it's so good is because it heals you over time. And it's not just an instant heal. If it was just a one-time instant heal, then there's a very good chance that you wouldn't get any benefit out of it, because you might be like at full health when it goes off, and you basically just don't get any benefit from it whatsoever because you're already at full. But because it heals you over time, I'm just going to read the actual tier set bonus in game here. Just give me a second. Because this heals you over time, it is incredibly, incredibly strong. Let me switch screens here really quick, and I'll show you exactly what this does so that there's no confusion whatsoever. Here it is. Yeah, so this has actually changed. I don't know why they even kept this in the post. Anyway, let me read it for you. Sorry, I totally read you guys the wrong thing. The core of what's in this set is still there. So using Mangle with Gore deals 30% of its damage to nearby enemies. Okay. Damage dealt reduced beyond 5 targets. It also increases your damage done by 5% and reduces your damage taken by 5%. So if you get Gore and you use Mangle, it cleaves everybody nearby and then gives you more damage and less damage taken. So the 2-set bonus is insane right away. Then the 4-set bonus says Gore has a 5% increased chance to trigger. Using Mangle with Gore heals you for 40k over 5.5 seconds, as I said before. Okay? 40k over 5.5 seconds. So this is really, really crazy. I was also trying this with Incarn. Incarn makes Mangle, like your Berserk, your regular Berserk, um, your regular Berserk reduces the cooldown of Mangle, but if you take Incarn in the talent tree, it actually makes Mangle cleave, which is really, really crazy. It causes Mangle to hit up to 3 targets, which I think increases the damage that's going on here. So the bottom line is there is so much baked into this tier set bonus. Obviously, you're waiting for Gore to proc, and a lot of you guys could say, "Whoa, Zuko, it's just a chance for Gore to proc again." And it's like, I know, but it procs all the time, and the reason why is because Gore procs off of Thrash, off of Swipe, off of Moonfire, and off of Maul. All the abilities that I'm using 24/7. I'm pressing Moonfire and Thrash all the time, and when I get enough rage, I'm pressing Maul as well. So like 20% chance, 20% chance, 20% chance, and if Thrash triggers a second time, it has a second chance to give you a Maul. And if Moonfire triggers another time from Galactic Guardian, it also has another chance to trigger Gore. So the percentage chance that you're going to trigger Gore is very, very high. And having a 20% chance is really good. On top of that, obviously, makes Mangle do more damage, which Mangle traditionally has done very bad damage, but it does a lot more damage now. And that 40k heal over 5.5 seconds is insane, and I'm going to show you exactly how insane it is. Let me look at this again. Let's go back here. This is how crazy this is. Let me pull up my picture. This is a picture of my damage and healing, okay? From a Mythic plus 10 that I tanked as a Guardian Druid. So the damage is kind of whatever. Mangle's damage is fine. Does 8.7% of my damage. You can see the swiping Mangle is here, so it's doing an extra 2.1%. Look at Bloody Healing. Look at this. This is my tier set bonus. Bloody Healing is my tier set bonus. It did 31% of my healing. So, like, I'm really hoping they don't nerf this, but they probably should nerf it a little bit, because this is like, my Ursox can't even do, I can't even shield myself with Ursox, because it's like, I'm too busy healing myself. This thing is insane. Anytime I had Gore up, I tried to press Mangle to refresh the duration of the 40k heal over time, and it was so incredibly strong. This is really, really good. So no other tier set bonus adds an additional heal like the Guardian Druid one does. And on top of that, the Guardian Druid one is giving you 30% extra Mangle damage, and it's giving you 5% damage dealt and 5% less damage taken. It's just like, it's the kitchen sink, and it adds an additional heal in the form of Bloody Healing, which ended up being a lot of Bloody Healing for me. So I think the Guardian Druid deserves the tier set bonus for Guardian Druid, deserves to go into the S category. It is far and away the craziest tier set bonus, and unfortunately, sorry that this wasn't entirely accurate, but it's just really, really, really solid. So let's move forward. We are going to Brewmaster Monk next. Let's read it here. Hitting an enemy with Tiger Palm or Spinning Crane Kick grants Brewmaster's Rhythm, increasing your damage dealt and reducing damage taken by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. So 4% DR and 4% more damage. So it's just like Guardian Druid, except Guardian Druid is 5% on both. For each stack of Brewmaster's Rhythm, Purifying Brew clears 3% more of your damage delayed with Stagger. So this is 12% more on Purifying Brew. Purifying Brew clears 50% of your staggered damage baseline. This makes it 63%. So when you press Purifying Brew, it'll clear 63% of your damage, which is very good. That's actually not bad at all. The problem that I've actually found with this tier set is Brewmaster's Rhythm, keeping it up requires you to press Tiger Palm. There is a problem with Brewmaster Monk when you press Tiger Palm too much. Tiger Palm shares an energy cost with your Keg Smash. So they both cost energy. Which one would you rather be pressing? Keg Smash. Keg Smash reduces the cooldown of all your brews by 5 seconds. Tiger Palm is only reducing it by 1 second. And they cost similar. And I think Keg Smash is like, Tiger Palm is 25 energy and Keg Smash is something similar. It might be 35. But the point is, you basically don't want to be pressing Tiger Palm if you can help it. You want to be pressing Keg Smash as much as possible as your energy spender, and because it's giving you much more value, much more bang for your buck. So the fact that you have to hit Tiger Palm 4 times in a row, or obviously Spinning Crane Kick in AoE, but on single target raid fights, you have to press Tiger Palm 4 times in a row just to keep this buff, just to get this buff started. And then once it's going, you only have to do Tiger Palm once every 10 seconds to refresh the duration, and that will in fact keep the entire 4% DR and 4% more damage done duration going. But like, to get this started, having to press Tiger Palm 4 times is really bad in my opinion. And like in Mythic Plus, if there's any delay from pack to pack, you're going to have to restart this entire process. So like in Mythic Plus, I think this is going to be extremely frustrating. You're going to want to just like bolt to the next pack and get started with a Tiger Palm so that you don't drop your buff. Because if you do, it drops everything. Everything is tied to this 4% DR buff that you're getting going with Tiger Palm or Spinning Crane Kick. And I just think that reduces the value of this Monk tier set, and I'm going to put it down at the B category here. I don't think it's quite as bad as the RNG coming for Vengeance, but I don't think that it deserves to be up in A. If this was triggered by Tiger Palm or Keg Smash or Spinning Crane Kick, then it would absolutely be an A class. It would be up here for sure. But because it requires you to press Tiger Palm 4 freaking times to get it going, and that there might be a chance in between a Mythic Plus pull where you let the buff fall off, or maybe even in the middle of combat, you're busy pressing a whole bunch of other cooldowns, and you're keg smashing, and your breath of firing, and you're getting your whirling, your wind up, your spinning, I forget what that ability is called, but maybe you just forget to press one of these buttons for 10 seconds. That's probably not realistic, but potentially, you know, let's say you're in a raid scenario and you have to run away from the boss because he's doing a mechanic, or you're the one of the tanks in the raid and you have to take a mechanic out of the group and then go back into the tank or into the boss fight. That's going to be 10 seconds, and you're going to have to restart this entire buff with Tiger Palm again 4 times in a row. So I just think that's really frustrating, and it's a big tax on your energy that you would rather be spending on Keg Smash. So that's going to go in the B tier. This secondary buff is actually very, very good, clearing 13 or 12% more of your damage delayed by stagger. So 62% in total. Sorry, I think I said 63 before. 62% of your stagger damage. That's very, very strong, but just frustrating having to get this thing going. Okay, Paladin. Let's do Paladin, then Warrior. Protection Paladin. Avenger's Shield grants you versatility of the light, increasing your versatility of you and your closest ally by 4% for 4 seconds. Where's my notes on this? Give me a second. There it is. Casting Hammer of the Righteous / Blessed Hammer increases your parry by 4% for 10 seconds and extends the duration of the versatility of the light by 1 second. So this is kind of a combo one, and the first part revolves around Avenger's Shield, which isn't as much of a priority in Dragonflight anymore as it used to be in Shadowlands for Prot Paladin. However, you can do lots of wonderful things with Avenger's Shield. In particular, you can do Focus Enmity over here. Avenger's Shield does a double damage, but only strikes 1 target. You have Moment of Glory, which will reset the cooldown on Avenger's Shield, which is very, very good. And then Avenger's Shield is going to be giving you a shield all the time with Bulwark of Order. So there's multiple talents you can take here that are even okay for single target as Avenger's Shield. Avenger's Shield being used as a tool for single target damage in a raid, for example, which is not something we're used to. We're used to it being our AoE button, but you can basically maintain this versatility of the light buff like quite long. So, for example, I was on the dummies for just over 6 minutes. I had Ally of the Light, which is this 2-piece bonus. It was up for 93% of my testing. 5 minutes and 42 seconds I had this up for. And it's basically just because I had Moment of Glory, and I was pressing Avenger's Shield whenever it procced. Whenever I got the cooldown on Avenger's Shield back, I pressed it, and then I used it with Moment of Glory as well. So I do think that this is achievable to have 4% versatility up all the time, which is not shabby, not too shabby at all. Again, that increases your damage dealt and reduces your damage taken, which is really good. Not quite as good as the Monk one or the Guardian Druid one, which is 5% DR, 5% more damage. This is only 4% versatility, but it's still good. On top of that, Casting Hammer of the Righteous or Blessed Hammer increases your parry by 4% for 10 seconds, which is very, very good, and then extends this versatility light. So you can have versatility of the light up 93% of the time. This parry buff I had up 82% of the time. So I had 4% more parry and 4% increase in versatility all the time. So it's it's good. The tier set is good. The only thing is that you don't really get any extra damage, and that is the one frustrating part about it. For, Guardian Druid, let's say you're getting 30% more damage on Mangle, and then you're also getting 5% more damage dealt overall on everything else. Even Monk's getting 4% more damage dealt, which is very, very good. Let me just check one more time on I want to make sure I don't get this wrong, but I think that Protection Paladin is good defensively, but you're not getting any offensive bonus. You're getting some damage from the versatility, but again, versatility isn't giving you that much. For example, versatility, the defensive side of it is only going to be cut in half, right? So you're getting 2% DR from this versatility. You are getting 4% more damage, but you're only getting 2% DR. And then you're getting the parry, which is obviously very cool. But, they actually buffed it. So it is 5% on live. You get 5% versatility instead of 4. So that is the only change. I wanted to make sure I checked that right there. So it's almost in line with the Monk and the Druid, in the sense that you are going to get 5% more damage, but you're getting a little bit less defense. Now you're picking up that defense here with parry. Parry is an amazing defensive tool because it guarantees no damage taken whatsoever. But Guardian Druid gets 5% damage dealt and 30% mangle damage, and mangle will cleave stuff, and then it will heal you for 40k. Do you see the difference there? So I do think that it probably falls to B. I want to put it on A, but it's not giving you enough. It's just not giving you enough. I think Blood DK deserves to be up here because of how synergistic it is with the talent trees, especially with Tombstone. You can get the buff going for Blood DK right away, and Blood DK gets 10% damage and 10% haste, and they can basically maintain that buff all the time. Prot Paladin, unfortunately, is only getting 5% versatility, which is 5% more damage, but only 2.5% DR, and the parry's okay, but it's not going to make up really the bulk of the difference there. So a little disappointing for Prot Paladin. Finally, we have Warrior. Let's look at Warrior. Prot Warrior. Revenge grants you Vanguard's Determination, increasing your damage done and reducing your damage taken by 4% for 5 seconds. Okay, super cool. I'm going to jump in the game again one more time and check this. It might be 5% now. During Vanguard's Determination, you gain Ignore Pain equal to 10% of the damage you deal. So, this is pretty cool. You basically press Revenge, okay, and it gives you this buff for 5 seconds. And you can obviously keep pressing Revenge to refresh this buff, and then it's going to give you Ignore Pain equal to 10% of the damage that you deal while you have Vanguard's Determination up, which you should be able to have up most of the time. Okay, so the numbers have actually been nerfed. So the first numbers here, this 4% is correct. This 10% is incorrect. This is 5% now on live. You gain Ignore Pain equal to 5% of the damage that you deal, not 10%. So clearly Blizzard thought that was too strong. Let me just find the uptime that I had here. So what's the uptime that you can expect on Vanguard's Determination? I had 83% uptime, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. I had this up for when I was testing it on the main Raider dummy. So I think realistically speaking, in a raid boss encounter, a raid boss fight, and also in Mythic Plus, you can expect to have Vanguard's Determination up almost all the time, which means you're taking 4% less damage, which is great, and you're getting Ignore Pain for free for 5% of the damage that you deal. So you can focus a little bit more on dealing damage, and you're going to be getting a shield for free. Now, that being said, the fact that this procs off of Revenge is the exact same problem that we had with Monk, with Brewmaster Monk. The Brewmaster Monk buff, hitting an enemy with Tiger Palm. This one is the same. Hitting an enemy with Revenge, as soon as you press Revenge, it gives you this buff. That's all good and well. I don't want to not press Revenge. Revenge is an important button. You need to do damage with it. But let's say you're in you're trying to get AOTC with your guild, and you're the main Prot Warrior tank. When it comes down to it, in the real moments when you're about to die, and it will really help your team if you didn't die, if you stayed alive, you are not going to have time to spend any amount of rage on Revenge. Now, I know there's a proc on Revenge that makes it free. I understand that, but it doesn't proc as often as you might think. And when it really comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, you're not going to spend rage on Revenge. You're going to spend rage on Ignore Pain so that you don't die, or Shield Block so that you don't die to the next auto coming into you from the big boss. I think if you're trying to progress like real rating, Heroic and Mythic, this becomes a really frustrating problem to deal with. Revenge is the trigger for Vanguard's determination. It means you need to be pressing Revenge every 5 seconds. Are you going to get a free Revenge proc every 5 seconds? No, I don't think that you will. Unfortunately, I just don't think you will. There are some ways to help with this. Shield Charge, if you take the Champion's Bulwark, it gives you the Revenge proc, which is really, really nice. But I just feel like you are relying so heavily on your successful dodges and parries to make your next Revenge cost no rage, and I have found in my testing that it just didn't trigger as much as I wanted it to, and it created a frustrating situation where I had to dump rage into Revenge when I was getting slapped by the raid boss dummy guy, and I really just try and maintain my buff, when in reality I should have been putting that into an Ignore Pain to actually mitigate the damage that was being done to me. So I think that in the higher end of Mythic Plus and in the higher end of rating in particular, this is going to become an issue. The fact that this entire tier set bonus is triggered off of Revenge, which is a similar problem to Brewmaster Monk, means I think you're going to have a tougher time keeping this up. Now, that being said, it's not impossible, and I think that the Ignore Pain value that you get is actually pretty cool, because it means you can focus on just doing tons and tons of damage. You know, you get your Vanguard's Determination buff and you pop like Thunderous Roar, Avatar plus Thunderous Roar. You get a whole bunch of damage out there, and it's giving you free defense, free healing, which is very, very cool. So unfortunately, it did get nerfed to 5%. It must have just been too good, I guess. But I think that this sits squarely on B once again, just because of the problems of needing to press Revenge to get this to proc, and really in the later stages of a fight, when you're kind of all out of defensive cooldowns, you don't want to be pressing an offensive spender. You need to be pressing a defensive spender to stay alive, more than likely. So that's where I think it sits on B. So there's a list, guys. That's it. We've got Guardian Druid at the top, Blood DK at A, and then we've got Monk, Prot Pally, Prot Warrior, and then we have, unfortunately, Vengeance DH at the bottom with C there. I do think that this accurately represents how the tier sets have been shaking out for the tanks. Now, that doesn't mean that this is exactly where I would rank all the different tanks in terms of like their overall ability, and I will do a video on that eventually. But just for the tier set bonuses for the tanks in Season 1 of Dragonflight, this is kind of where they shake out, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I always want to have a conversation with you. Let me know what you think about where I've placed these and what you're thinking about for tanks. If you guys have, if you have some main tanks out there, what do you think about the tier set bonus that was given to your spec? So thank you guys so much again for watching. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.